Greatland Gold is responsible for the discovery of an incredible strong gold system in the Paterson region in Western Australia, right next to the Telfer gold mine. Greatland Gold signed a farm-in agreement with Newcrest, Australia's leading gold producer, to explore and fast-track Greatland's Havieron gold-copper project towards production. CEO Gervaise Heddle has extensive financial markets experience and is a well-known economics commentator. Greatland Gold's latest progress report by Gervaise Heddle.
Willem, why did you invite this company?
This is an amazing story, another amazing story. And we used to ignore all developments in Australia. But this changed a few years ago, I think in 2017, when the gold nuggets were discovered in the Pilbara. We decided to travel to Australia to research the exploration companies working in that area, and we found a few good ones, and we followed a few other exploration companies, and I think it was 1.5 years ago that we saw the first press release by Greatland Gold that they discovered gold in the Paterson area and Paterson region, and that attracted us right away because this discovery, this very early discovery, was only 40 kilometers east of the big gold mine, the Telfer mine, which is in the middle of the desert. There's nothing there for hundreds of miles. And when Greatland Gold struck gold right next to this this still producing gold mine, the Telfer mine, we were intrigued and we built a first position. Newcrest is the operator of the Telfer gold mine, and Newcrest came in very soon after the publication of the first few drill holes, and they took over the project, and that what makes this discovery so fascinating. It's quite sure that this will be a mine in the next 3 to 5 years. Newcrest already said that they want this to be the new producing gold mine in Australia.
They want it, but is that feasible?
Yeah, I think one could say that it's quite clear that this will be a producing gold mine within 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, because Newcrest needs this new discovery, because the old Telfer mine is running out of ore. So they needed to close down that mine within 5 to 10 years. And they already publicly stated that they expect this new discovery will be the new producing site for them within, the next decade.
What about the stock price? What did it do last?
It jumped, and it jumped. It's one of the best performers. After the presentation, I will show you the latest results. It has been an incredible win for us, for our company, and we love this discovery.
Okay, let's watch the pre-recorded presentation of Gervaise Heddle from Greatland Gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Gervaise Heddle. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Greatland Gold. It's a pleasure to be here, and in particular I'd like to thank Willem and the Commodity Discovery Fund team for inviting Greatland to present here today. Greatland is an AIM-listed company. We've been listed on AIM since 2006. And we are primarily focused on gold and copper exploration in Australia. We like operating in Australia. We believe it's one of the best jurisdictions in the world to actually build mines. We understand the nuances of how to operate in Australia, and that is our main focus. We have been quite successful of late with a discovery in the Paterson region of Western Australia, where we now have a farm-in agreement with Newcrest at a deposit called Havieron, which is a gold-copper deposit. And Newcrest is earning up to 70% by completing a number of farm-in stages at Havieron. And so far, we've had excellent results. In fact, we've had 10 consecutive sets of excellent results. And we expect a maiden resource to be delivered in the December quarter of this year at Havieron. Moving to the next slide, it just gives you a little bit of an overview of our current projects. We have 6 projects in total, 4 projects in Western Australia, including the Paterson project, which is our primary focus at the moment. and 2 projects in Tasmania where we have, through our own drilling, intersected high-grade gold at or near surface at both of those projects. Our primary focus at the moment is the Patterson project, which contains the Havieron deposit, where we have the farm-in with Newcrest. But we're also heavily focused on our own exploration in the Patterson, where in essence we're trying to find another Havieron type deposit. This next slide shows you a map of the Patterson region. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the Havieron deposit. It's a red dot towards the bottom right, surrounded by a red box. That red box is the 12 blocks that are subject to the Newcrest Havieron farming. You can see other licences there. So the Havieron licence, all in white, the Black Hills licence, the Patterson Range East licence, and also a new licence application called Heddle down there to the southeast. The Patterson region is a very underexplored region, and we believe has the potential for the discovery of a number of Tier 1 gold copper deposits. Obviously, there's been 2 significant recent successes there, the first being Havieron, the combined efforts of Greatland and Newcrest there at Havieron. But the other recent success has also been Rio Tinto has discovered a major deposit at somewhere called Winnow, which is showing up there in the top left-hand corner. But in essence, we think this is a highly prospective region. There's been a real exploration rush going on here recently, and we think it's a key area for the Australian industry to be focusing on at the moment. This next slide demonstrates some of the early success from Greatland's first 2 drilling programs at Havieron. Havieron was initially identified as a geophysical anomaly by Newcrest back in the early 90s, and they indeed drilled the first 6 holes into Havieron, all of which came back with extensive hematite alteration. They also encountered low-grade copper and gold. But they didn't continue with that program, and the licence passed through other vendors. We acquired the Havieron licence in 2016. Subsequent to acquiring the licence, we conducted our own geophysics, and we also reprocessed a lot of the old geophysics to create new models. And we commenced our first drilling campaign at Havieron in early 2018. And the first hole there had one returned 121 metres at 3 grams per tonne, which was a very exciting result at the time. And then subsequently, our second campaign came back with an even better result in the first hole. It had 5, which the results there, which included 128 metres at 7.4 grams per tonne, and those results were described quite rightly as spectacular. And that really led to the rush of interest that we received from the Australian industry, and ultimately the successful negotiation and execution of the farm-in agreement with Newcrest. You can see the outline of the farm-in agreement that we have with Newcrest. As you can see, there are 4 key stages. 2 of those stages have now been completed, and Newcrest is progressing with stage 3. Once they complete stage 3, they will have earned a 60% interest, and then they've got the right to earn up to 70% interest. Post the end of that, they also have an option to buy an additional 5% at independently assessed fair market value. But look, this has been a very successful farming agreement, which has, tremendously advanced the project since they began drilling in March 2019. The next slide gives you a bit of an overview of Telfer. Telfer is in essence a very large mine. Even a lot of Australians don't appreciate the scale of Telfer. It's not an operation that's talked about a lot, but it's a very large mine. I've been fortunate there enough to visit it a few times and to see the main body of the plant and the underground operations there at Telfer, which are fascinating. But Telfer, in essence, is comprised of 2 crushing circuits, both crushing approximately 11 million tonnes of ore per year, so about 22 million tonnes in total. And even at a low head grade, the current low head grade of 0.7 grams per tonne, it produces, I think, 450,000 ounces a year. I mean, it is a very large mine. However, Telfer is running out of high-grade ore from the underground system, at least based on current reserves. And so both Newcrest and Greatland saw the opportunity for the ore from Havieron to be processed at Telfer, which has great benefits to both of us. Obviously, the key benefit being that we don't have to build a new processing plant, which is a huge cost saving up front. We have the ability to leverage all the infrastructure at Telfer, and obviously this can all significantly increase the net present value of the project for both parties. These are the latest results from Newcrest's exploration campaign. We've had 10 consecutive sets of excellent drill results now, and this project, as many people who are following the closely story, is still evolving rapidly, and we're still yet to find the limits of mineralisation. This just gives you a snapshot of those results, and the map on the plan view there on the left is quite complicated, but in essence what it's showing you is that Newcrest has defined an egg-shaped deposit to date. This is looking from the top down, which contains higher grade sulfide zones and a mix of higher grade and a mix of breccia zones, which we'll talk about in a moment. But in essence, it's a fairly significant egg-shaped feature which measures roughly 650 metres in length and 350 metres wide, and is variably mineralised. The details are shown a little bit better in the next slide. You're looking again at a similar sort of view, but you can see here what we call the crescent sulfide zone, which now, in essence, this higher grade sulfide zone forms a ring around the outer edge, this purple area. You've then got different types of higher and lower grade breccia in the pink and the yellow respectively. The most exciting thing recently is the identification of this northern breccia zone, which represents a bulk tonnage target. So we knew obviously that there was a significant amount of high grade material here that could be amenable to a traditional stoping operation, but obviously the identification of this additional breccia material provides us with a tonnage for bulk mining, which could be sub-level caves or block cave, and it's a very exciting development. The following slide gives you a couple of the section views, and I think what's interesting here for those of you that have been following the story closely is that these section views, it's the first time that we've broken out the difference between the breccia zones. So you can see the sulfide crescent zone there in the pink, which is the highest grade zone. And then historically, we just showed one breccia zone, but now it's been broken down between the crackle breccia zone in orange and the cemented breccia zone in blue. And it's this cemented breccia zone that I'd encourage people to focus on, because the cemented breccia zone is where we're seeing the better grades of gold and copper, and the better sort of quality, greater sulfide mineralisation, I guess. And you can see there in those two section views, and also the two section views on the next slide, you can see again on the next slide that blue cemented breccia zone repeated, and you can see it's got fairly consistent width and good vertical extent on all those section views. And I think that's the focus, really, that cemented breccia of this bulk mining target that Newcrest and Greatland are focused on. Moving to the next slide, this is a leapfrog grade contour view of the crescent sulfide zone, which is that very high grade zone. This is just modelling the southeastern portion of it. This is an image that's been in previous results. And again, it can be useful for those of you that are trying to figure out how many ounces may be in that sulfide zone. But obviously, this is only just one part of the deposit. We've obviously got the sulfide zone to the northwest. There's also obviously all these breccias, different breccia zones that we've been discussing. So, it's very much a work in progress. The next slide highlights some of the key milestones. Obviously, two of those key milestones have already been met, stage 1 and 2. Newcrest is progressing stage 3. We have 9 rigs operational at site, working 24/7 around the clock. So there's a day shift and a night shift. All the baseline studies are progressing to support the potential of the decline by late 2020 and early 21. Actually, this is one of the key milestones we don't mention in this slide, but we've had the mining lease granted at Havieron, which is fantastic news. And the mining proposal has been submitted, the mining proposal for early stage works, which is another key step. We need to get that approved before we can actually start digging the dirt for the box cut and the decline. And also importantly, the initial resource is planned to be delivered in the next quarter, so by the end of this year. This is the first of 3 slides which just show you a little bit about some of our other targets in the region. So this is the Scallywag target and set of targets basically, and we are drilling at Scallywag as we speak. So we have a rig on site. Our drilling was initially delayed this year because of COVID concerns and the potential impact of COVID on the Indigenous community. We delayed the program, but we are now actively drilling these targets. And these are all what we call high priority targets, where we've done extensive geophysical work and modelling to identify what we hope are the best targets. And obviously what we're looking for is something similar to Havieron. Again, in the next slide, you can see more similar high priority targets on our Patterson Range East licence to the north. And many of these targets that have been circled also have similar geophysical characteristics to Havieron. We're hoping to be drilling some of these targets later in the year as well. And again, these are high priority targets, and which we believe have the potential at least to host tier 1 copper and gold opportunities. We have a third licence, which is again the next slide here, the Black Hills licence. We've already done some drilling on one portion of the Black Hills system. We got some encouraging results there, 13 metres at 2 and 12 metres at 1.4. And look, these are very near surface. So the gold here, we picked up gold nuggets at surface at Black Hills. Gold really commences at surface. And look, it's an area that requires further work. We've also have an interesting geophysical target here called Parlay that we hope to be drilling as well later this year or early next year. So in essence, 3 very interesting licenses there for further drilling. So look, just summing up, obviously it's a very exciting time for Greatland, and it's been a very exciting journey for our shareholders, and I want to thank all of them again for being part of this journey with us. Obviously our key focus is the ongoing success at the Havieron joint venture with Newcrest, as we work through all the key milestones that are ahead of us. And this is an important process that we're working through, and ultimately toll processing this ore at Telfer, which is a very exciting prospect. But this is really moving forward at speed now, as you can all see from the latest releases. In addition to that, obviously we're also pursuing our own exploration opportunities on all of our projects, but most specifically in the Patterson, which we believe has the potential for other tier 1 gold copper opportunities. So really pushing forward this year, and we're well financed to do so. And I'd just like to thank everybody for their support, and again thank Willem and the CDF team for hosting us here today. So thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure to be here.
That was Gervaise Heddle of Greatland Gold, and unfortunately, because of the time difference, no live Q&A from him. Willem, how large is the position of your fund in this company?
This is our second largest position, and we already took a first position, as I said, in 2018. In 2019, we increased our position. If we look at the graph of Greatland Gold, this has been a 10-bagger for us, which means that the stock is up 1,000% year to date.
Not too bad.
No, and it was up even more, a small correction in the last few days. And if we look at the result of Greatland Gold in the last 5 years, it's even more remarkable. The stock is up over 20,000%. So this is amazing. Has been an amazing ride, not only for the other investors, but also for our fund. So it's one of the large positions now. Actually, we needed to sell down some of our shares because of size limit positions within our fund.
All right. Gervaise was talking about this incredible gold system, lots of gold. But just from my understanding, how many million ounces of gold did they really find? Yeah,
that's not sure yet. They haven't published any resource estimate, but there have been some investors who made some of their calculations of their own. And there's one private investor, and he is publishing, he's tweeting a lot about this discovery. And Paddy Gale, he made his own calculation. And I think it's quite a reasonable calculation. If you follow his line of thinking, well, let's be conservative. I think one could say that Greatland Gold will have found 10 million ounces of gold already, and that's a remarkable find. Aurelian Resources, you know, which was the start for me. That was a huge find in Ecuador. That was 10 million ounces. But I think Greatland Gold could end up finding over 10 million, maybe even more than 50 million ounces of gold, and that's why there's so much speculation in this stock.
Okay, thank you.